so many young players want to emulate Kobe, on the court with the signature moves that he did, the fadeaways, the jab game, the post-up game, the finishes, and the million moves that he had. And I think players miss out on the real things they could take from Kobe. Yeah, the moves are great, but let's be honest, 99% of the players shouldn't be doing half of the things that he even tried to do. I think what players could really take from him, and this is what I try to talk to players that I work with to educate them about Kobe, is his ridiculous preparation and his attention to detail and his work ethic. I think that those things that every player could bring into their game to try to prepare themselves for their opponent and prepare themselves for every game. So today I want to dive into how Kobe studied opponents and some of the things that we did together as far as scouting reports and how he studied his opponent, to give you an idea of the work that he put in, not only on the floor to make himself the best player, one of the best players of all time, but also what he did to prepare in his work ethic that really made him a professional and a championship player and one of the best. So when I got hired by Kobe in 2009, initially it was a one-game deal. Houston Rockets did the best job of any other team scouting Kobe and to try to sort of take him a little bit out of his comfort zone, to take away his efficiency better than any other team. They had a real plan of attack. They had Daryl Morey was their GM. He was the godfather of analytics, had these like statistical breakdowns to how to the shots to force Kobe into. So I got a call from Tim Grover, my boss, Michael Jordan's personal trainer, who was working with Kobe at the time, and asking me, if there was an article written about what Houston did, and Kobe, he was going to have Kobe reach out to me. So Kobe reached out to me, asked me to formulate a game plan, a scouting report. For him, I didn't exactly know what he wanted, but he wanted to know what they knew and what other teams knew about him. So after a couple of days of studying game film and putting together this report, I gave him a scouting report on Houston, a game plan for that game that he should try to implement individually to give his team the best chance of his success, and also some of the things that he wasn't doing to help his team be as efficient as possible. So he beats Houston by 6 on the road. I think he had 37-6. I get a text. I thought I was done. I get an email 90 seconds after the game saying, hey, look, I need this tomorrow. I need this the same thing for the next game. And I ended up working for him for about 4 years. But going past that game, I didn't exactly know what to put together because it was just sort of formulated for this one game. So together we sort of tweaked together this scouting package that he would get at 7 a.m. every morning on a game day to get ready for his next opponent. So I just want to dive into this pretty quickly. It won't take all that long, but I want you just to sort of get an idea of what elite level studying and preparing really means. It doesn't mean just going out and playing. It doesn't mean just going out, watching a few highlights, a few clips, and that was it. This is what he wanted and got every day to study for every opponent that he had. So first off, what he got was information on the players that he was guarding and the players that were guarding him. So he would get, first of all, for the players he was defending, he'd get a 12-minute offensive breakdown on the starter, the backup, and the backup's backup, on shots they would take, favorite moves they would have, things that they would do in low shot clock, low game clock, and sort of places they like to operate out of. So he got an idea. So he wanted to study, especially the most recent games, of what they like to do, the things that they were good at, the places they operated out of. So he got an idea. So the favorite, plays they would run to him, any video that he could watch that would prepare him to understand what they like to do, that they like to fake, what shoulder they like to go over if they post it up, which way do they like to drive, So all the good things that they did, so he got an idea. So again, the starter, the backup, and the backup's backup, basically the third player that he may or may not see for a long period of time. Then he would get a 9-minute video on each player, all the mistakes they would make, all the turnovers they would make, what situations did they turn over the most, what situations that they didn't like to be in, what situations that he could put them in defensively to sort of give them the best possibility of making a mistake and what they were susceptible to. Did they not protect the ball? Can you get stripped? All right. Do they get blocked a lot? All those situations that players didn't like to be in, I gave him a 9-minute video on each so he could study all the mistakes they would make. And this is a big part of the scouting report, is he really wanted to know what they didn't like to do. What could he do to disrupt them the most on doing things that makes them uncomfortable? So again, studying your opponent on the things that they don't like to do is a huge part of it. On the players that were defending him, he wanted to know their individual defensive habits. So he would get an 8-minute video again on the starter, on the backup, on the backup's backup, and the players that were guarding him. How were their stance like? Were there holes in their stance? Do they go for fakes? Do they foul a lot? Do they use their hands or not? Are they physical or not? He wanted to know all types of defensive things that they did on and off the ball. Do they ball watch? Could he cut against them? Which way can he cut? What really, again, just like the other film on the offensive side, on the defensive side, what puts them in the most uncomfortable situation for them? So he wanted to know every little detail about their defensive habits, especially off the ball. Again, with the cutting and where they lost their vision. So he wanted to know all those types of things. Did they like physicality or they didn't? Were they soft? Were they not smart? Those are the things that he wanted to know defensively on those players. So that was the video. So again, he got 36 minutes of video on offense, all right, on good things. He got 27 minutes on mistakes players would make, and then he would get 24 minutes of video on the defensive side. So now, as far as statistics and shot charts and things, he got a shot chart on all of his matchups offensively. All right, the zones on the floor, where did they struggle from the most? So he got a percentage breakdown on every spot on the floor and how they shot. Were they hot? Were they not? I actually got this from Dave Hopla, who liked to do this thing on NBA.com called hot zones. And it would basically take the shot chart. You can get it on NBA.com now, and it would break down every angle of the court and basically what they shot from that spot, where they were hot from, where they were cold from. He wanted to know basically what spots to force his opponent into shooting from, where they would get the least favorable result for them. So again, he wanted to study not only the film, but the statistics that went around it, as far as what things that they didn't like to do and what situations that he could force them into where they would be least successful. He wanted to know percentage of drives, weak hand versus strong hand, and then also what they shot going weak hand versus strong hand. Most players didn't like going to the weak hand, but he wanted that data to support that. So he got it's an easy stat, but he wanted to know which way to force them, and then what they shot going in each individual direction. How do they foul? Do they leave their feet? Do they use their hands? What mistakes they made defensively? Again, just a breakdown of situations in which they fouled the most. All right. He wanted to know the 3 plays, if the players that he was defending, the 2 or 3 plays they would run to him, the holes in the play, things that he can do more of as far as breaking up plays and just having as many broken plays as possible. So he wanted to know the 2 or 3 plays that were going to be run to each of the the starter, backup, and the backup's backup, which obviously they ran no plays to. He wanted to know the defensive rotations, what type of defense he'll be facing, the holes in that defense, the weak links as far as the players that weren't smart. Even if they didn't play his position, he wanted to know who to sort of go to, or or players on the floor that were weak-minded, that, you know, even if it was not him but his teammates, he could take advantage of, to as far as mismatches and, you know, weak links to the you know, his opponent's defense. And then he wanted to know which teammate or teammates will have the biggest mismatch. So, you know, my big focus with him is not only him, but also the teammates that he needed to really get going early in games and take advantage of, as far as, you know, mismatches. Not only, you know, obviously he'll have a mismatch every night because no one was really defending him, you know, could guard him, but, you know, his teammates, what mismatch he could take advantage of. All right, so, and that was it. And then from there, he got a game. I gave him about a half to a full page game plan of attack. Hey, you might want to be aggressive right off the bat, try to get to the free throw line. You know, Paul Gasol has this mismatch, or Lamar Odom has this mismatch. Let's get them going. Or in the last 3 games, this player didn't get that many shots. Let's get them going early in a game and then go from there. And I think this package, he'll get that package at 7 a.m. every morning. And then after shoot around, probably, you know, around 12:30 or so, 1 o'clock his time, him and I would start emailing back and forth. Hey, what do you know, why did you say this in this report? Why did you say this? What about this player? What about this? What about, you know, can I have some video of them doing this? So it was basically from there, we would probably email back and forth from like 1 o'clock to about, you know, 90 minutes, 60 to 90 minutes before game time. And then after the game was played, I'd give him a package of video, you know, offensive touches from him, defensive possessions, you know, and then I would give him a report based on how he played. Things that I thought he did well, things that he didn't do well. And that's what he wanted. But the preparation was so intense on the things that he did and things that he wanted. That's what separates the God-given talent, the 6'6", the skill, the unbelievable skill level. That's all great. But that stuff, a lot of that stuff's God-given. And a lot of players just can't do what he did. And that's why I would never really, you know, try to teach players to play the way he did on those respects. But the preparation. Now, of course, most players can't prepare like that because they don't have the data. But studying film, studying mistakes of the team that your opponent makes, and things that you can do to capitalize, I think every player can make. And that dedication to off-the-court preparation is what made him the special player that he was. That separates him from the players who just like to play and players who wanted to dominate and win. Hope this helped. This has been pretty fun so far. Please leave comments and share. And thank you. I appreciate you listening. Bye-bye.